in the relation between the executive and the legislature. We've seen a lot of cooperation in terms of the ministerial list and other key legislation, the new budget cycle and so on, where there's been cooperation between the executive and the legislature to bring about the brand new budget cycle, which meant that we returned the budget cycle to the January-December cycle. This could not have been done without cooperation by both arms of government.
In terms of legislations, the senators considered two very controversial bills, the social media bill and the hate speech bill. But Lawan consistently assured Nigerians that the upper chamber will not pass any anti-people law, and there have been no further legislative work on the two bills. The 9th Senate has done extensive work on the deep offshore and inland basin production sharing contract. It has speedily passed the original and revised 2020 budget, the finance bill, the Public Procurement Act, Sexual Harassment Bill, National Health Emergency Bill, and many others. The 9th Senate has also made efforts and interventions in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic. While senators donated half of their matched salaries, they took up the executive on the implementation of the social investment program. But there's the burden of Nigeria's ever-rising debt profile. The Senate has been criticized for the seamless approvals of the presidency's request to borrow. In spite of warnings by the International Monetary Fund on the dangers of further loans even before the emergence of coronavirus, the Senate has so far approved over $27 billion as loans.
The borrowing which we passed, most of us were prepared by the existing circumstances, particularly the COVID-19, like I told you, how it shrunk our economy. We had no choice. It's not borrowing that is the problem. To me, I've always said that nobody is above borrowing, but what are you going to do with the money when you borrow? Because of the history of corruption in this country, you will only get worried on how this money will be dispensed, whether it's going to benefit the appropriate sectors, whether it's going to be deployed to the appropriate sectors or not, or will it end up in private pockets?
I think that at this time, some of those borrowings have become necessary because we need to fund our budget. The issue is that whether going forward, borrowing will reduce so that when we're not in an emergency situation and so on, we can reduce our borrowing. And also the capacity to refund. Borrowing is never the issue. The issue is always the capacity to repay, and whether those funds are being used to invest in the economy in such a way that that economy can repay those the borrowing.
We have approved foreign loans of about $28 billion in the last 1 year. We have ensured proper scrutiny for the desired projects and programs of government, the conditions attached for the facilities before approving such borrowing requests. The task ahead of us is to ensure tracking, monitoring, and supervision of how the loans are applied. We must ensure that the target projects remain unchanged and that there is value for money also.
Insecurity remains a major source of misery for many Nigerians. Hundreds of lives have been lost since the resurgence of terrorism and banditry in northern Nigeria. Despite several interventions by the 9th Senate, the situation persists. Reports suggest much work has been done on the Electoral Act, and committees' work will be advanced to the next stage in the coming weeks. Generally, questions still abound on the value of the numerous resolutions adopted by senators which are not binding and have no force of law. Nevertheless, there are those who believe that the 9th Senate is on course and focused on taking the legislature back to the people. They say Lawan demonstrates that separation of powers shouldn't be separation of governments. It's however just 1 year into the constitutional 4-year tenure of the Assembly. Actions of the lawmakers in the years to come will either strengthen this belief or discard it. Abel Ejikeme, Arise News.